Part 204. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 2032. Zhili and Huihuan stayed in Sanya for 3 days and came back. Zhang Chen drove himself to pick them up at the airport. On the way there, he remembered that he was going to drive to the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel in Xiaosha for the first time to see Huihuan off. When he went to Sanya to study with Fatty Fu, he was the one who picked Huihuan up at the airport when she returned from her studies. Now, when he picks up her and Zhili again, it really feels a bit like that before. It seems that eating and drinking man and woman is really going to hit the road. After signing the agreement for the Yongcheng logistics base, Zhang Chen has a lot to do. Although the second cargo will send people over for the subsequent handover of the site, the second cargo will also handle all the procedures for starting construction, including the planning of the entire logistics base. And construction, Zhang Chen is not good at it, second-hand goods are experts. Logistics bases across the country are similar, the drawings only need to be copied, there is nothing special. But together with the Yongcheng logistics base, Zhang Chen has to design the factory and office building of Banmushan Clothing Company himself. After all, he is returning to his hometown, and he still needs to spend some time on the design. At least, he needs to design it as the most awesome project in Yongcheng Industrial Factory Zone, a model and benchmark. Small places have the advantage of being small, that is, you can easily excel as long as you put some thought into it. Unlike in big places, where you have to compete with those multinational companies, small places don't have that. Most business owners here are living a tight life. They build factory buildings here and there, without an overall plan. Many of them build an emergency building first, then build a little more if it is not enough, and then build another one if it is not enough. At one point, the entire factory area looked like a platter of illegal buildings. It is easy for companies like Zhangchen and others to stand out in Yongcheng. After doing so, not only Zhang Chen himself felt that his face was bright, but the local government, including the officials who brought them in, also thought that he looked good. This is a visible political achievement. Under the leadership of superiors, local government officials like to take companies like this to visit. Zhang Chen doesn't like to be in the limelight by nature, and he doesn't like to have too much involvement with officials, but after so many years of running a business, he finally understands that this is actually a good thing for you, me, and everyone. Looking back, looking at what I have come through over the years, at which point have I ever left their support? Without Lu Chengcheng in Hangzhou, Xiaoding in Sanya, and across the country, without those people who call him Professor Zhang or brother, or even Li Yang, Sun Ho, and Huang Jianren, would he be where he is today? It's a bit pretentious to want to be so clear about it now. After the shareholding reform of Banmushan Group, many times when Zhang Chen thinks about problems, he must consider the overall interests of the company, rather than based on personal likes, dislikes and temperament. Like at the meeting, in front of Lu Chengcheng, it would be impossible for Zhang Chen to get angry again. You can say that he has become more sophisticated, you can say that he has become cowardly, you can even say that he is old and no longer as brave as an ordinary man. Anyway, Zhang Chen now knows that he has to earn his own face, but many times, face is relative. When you give face to others, you give yourself face. Especially for these local government officials, when dealing with the issue of face, in many cases, it is not just face, but actual interests. As Deputy Mayor Li said, this piece of land, other people can only benefit from it. It's impossible to be so big, but if Zhang Chen wants it, he can. This is face, and this face is accumulated by him. Make a difference in that place, allowing leaders to have a place to lead, larger leaders to visit, get praise, and feel that they are proud of themselves. Don't worry, the leaders will not only remember you at this time. Many good things will follow. They will also be thinking about you, such as what kind of competitions, what commendations and awards, What kind of high-tech enterprise declaration, etc. This is indeed real support for the enterprise. Zhang Chen can look down on it, but half an acre of land cannot. In addition to the design of the clothing company park in Yongcheng, Zhang Chen also has to consider the second phase transformation of the Sky City after the relocation of the clothing factory. It turns out that the entire e-commerce industrial park was designed by Zhang Chen himself. Since it is the second phase transformation in the first phase, we have to consider how to coordinate with the first phase, and Zhang Chen still has to do it himself. Including the Jinxiu Design Institute, revised drafts of the Renjia Tourism project are coming out one after another. After positioning it as a high-end B/U0026B, Zhang Chen's entire thinking will also need to change. The design needs to be more delicate and thoughtful. Zhang Chen one-by-one projects must be re-examined and revised. Of course, the most important thing is food and drink. Although Zhang Chen has opened a lot of hotels and has accumulated some experience in hotel business, and Huihuan and others will help, but as Xiao Fang said, eating and drinking for men and women is a new business, something that has never been done before. It is unknown how well it will be done, and there are no role models to learn from. They have to start everything from scratch. Many times, Zhang Chen even felt that his original experience of Tuxianjiayuan and Sanya Hotel should be discarded. Otherwise, his own ideas would not be open, and it might actually restrict the development of food and drink men and women. Thinking of this, Zhang Chen felt a little trembling. Zhang Chen parked the car in the parking lot of the airport and looked at the time. The plane would arrive in 10 minutes. The sun was just right. Zhang Chen squatted in the parking lot, smoked a cigarette happily, and put out the cigarette butt on the ground. Throw it into the trash can and then walk to the pickup hall. The screen at the exit showed that Xiaoli and Huihuan's plane had arrived. Zhang Chen stood outside the railing and waited. After 7 or 8 minutes, he saw Xiaoli and Huihuan coming out. To his surprise, there were two people on the left and one on the right, and the one holding their arms between them was Fatty Fu. Although Fatty Fu is over 80 years old, he is energetic, has strong steps, and a glowing face. He looks like he is only in his 60s. Cao Minfang has not arranged for him to stand on the walk for a long time, saying that he will offer it up. But it is said that Fatty Fu has itchy hands and still has to stand in front of the walk for a while every day. He told Cao Minfang that craftsmanship can only be developed if you don't touch it for 1 day, but if you don't touch it for 3 days, you will be a layman and can't win. When people live to be over 80 years old, some live to become monsters, some live to become old scum, and some people live to become legends. Fatty Fu lives to become a legend in the chef world. Fatty Fu was only 41 years old when he became a first-class chef at Changsharong Yuan Hotel. He was the youngest first-class chef in the country at that time. Today, there are only a few special-class chefs of his generation still alive in the world. There are only a handful of people like him who can still stand on the pier every day and can compete with their peers, and they are even rarer. From this perspective, he has become a monster again. Fatty Fu came laughing and laughing all the way. Zhang Chen waved to him and shouted, "Master Fu." Xiaoli and Huihuan sandwiched Fatty Fu and brought him in front of Zhang Chen. Xiaoli shouted, "The sandwich is here, boss, do you want to eat it?" Huihuan said, "It's a steamed bun with meat on it." No, it's steamed bun with meat on it." Zhang Chen burst out laughing, and Fatty Fu also kept laughing and said, "Two sisters can't win. Master Fu, why do these two people have to make you make such a hard trip?" Zhang Chen and Fatty Fu said, and Xiao Li immediately interrupted, "Master is here to offer advice. He has many ideas to tell you about the eating and drinking for men and women project." "Great," Zhang Chen shouted, then asked Xiao Li, "What? Are you getting started?" Xiao Li giggled, and Fatty Fu said, "There's nothing we can do. The two sisters are so annoying, I can't win." Zhang Chen laughed, knowing that he was being stalked and beaten by Huihuan and Xiaoli, and he would not accept Xiaoli's apprenticeship. The four of them arrived at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. It was around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The guests had not arrived yet, but the kitchen staff had already gone to work. Zhang Chen invited Fatty Fu to sit in his office and asked Huihuan to book a private room and wait. They would have dinner together, but Fatty Fu refused to go upstairs, saying that he wanted to go to the kitchen to see him. He hadn't been here for a long time, so Zhang Chen had no choice but to accompany him. As soon as they walked into the back kitchen, the little girl at the food serving station at the entrance was arranging her own serving station. When she saw them, she turned to the back kitchen and shouted, "Master Fu is here! Master Fu is here!" When the people in the kitchen heard the shouting, they immediately put down what they were doing and turned around to look at them. The chefs standing in front of the pier put their knives down on the chopping board one after another. He reached out and turned off the fire, and gathered around the aisle. I don't know who it was, but he applauded first. Then hundreds of people in the entire back kitchen applauded together, and the applause was thunderous. Fatty Fu waved his hands to everyone and told everyone to go back and continue doing whatever they were supposed to do. I was just watching casually. Fatty Fu then told Zhang Chen, "Go and do your work too. We'll talk about it later." Zhang Chen said yes. He turned around and said to Huihuan and Xiaoli, "You stay with Master Fu. You will tell me the box number later. You two will have dinner together in the evening." Huihuan agreed, and she and Xiaoli accompanied Fatty Fu into the back kitchen. Zhang Chen stood and looked at them. He saw Fatty Fu walking around in the back kitchen, looking around with Huihuan and Huihuan from time to time. Xiaoli and other people were talking about something. Zhang Chen walked out of the kitchen and went back to his office. As soon as Fatty Fu arrived, even Huihuan and Xiaoli felt it. The atmosphere in the entire kitchen suddenly became tense. Everyone was working seriously, including the senior technicians. Fatty Fu walked up to them and said, their faces turned a little pale and they looked at Fatty Fu uneasily, just like a primary school student seeing his teacher standing in front of him. Fatty Fu serves as a judge for the annual National Master of Chef competition. However, Fatty Fu requires that chefs from the hotels in Sanya and Tuxianjiayuan are not allowed to sign up to participate. In order to avoid suspicion, everyone can only watch the TV show. Watching the competition every year, no matter how itchy my heart is, there is nothing I can do. Now, the judges are all standing in front of them, and everyone feels that today is like a big test. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for your monthly votes to Lulu 6717P11, Flat Tire Mars Rover, Sand Mood, Flowers and Boys, It's Not an Impossible World, Far Stream, Heart is Silent, Far Not Far Nor Near. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2033. When Lu Ligan heard that Fatty Fu had arrived, he also went to the private room of Tuxianjiayuan Hotel for dinner with Zhang Chen. The last time Lu Ligan saw Fatty Fu was when a large group of them went to Sanya to celebrate the New Year. In the end, old Lu Yi made trouble, and Lu Ligan was forced to return to Hangzhou early with his parents. After not seeing Lu Ligan for so many years, Fatty Fu was very happy to see him today. He must get up and cook a dish for Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen and the others. He knew that both Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen like spicy food, so he wanted to give them a spicy stir-fried lobster. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan were very curious about it. They had eaten lobster sashimi, steamed lobster with garlic paste and salt and pepper lobster. I have eaten baked lobster with cheese and lobster in porridge, but neither of them has tried this spicy stir-fry. It sounds very enjoyable. Several people stood up and left the box. Huihuan asked the waiter to tell the chef that the food for this table would be served later. Otherwise, the food on this table will definitely be served very quickly, and it will be all served in a short time. With Zhang Chen and Hui Huan here, especially Fatty Fu, the chefs are also eager to try the dishes they have cooked. Go to Fatty Fu and let him taste it. If you want him to appreciate it, Fatty Fu will also tell the waiter his comments, and the waiter will tell the chef. As he gets older, Fatty Fu's temperament has also changed a lot. He usually won't say directly in front of the chef that this dish is not good here or that is not good there. Even when he is a judge in the National Chef Master competition, he will just say, if this dish can be done in this way, it will be perfect. The people listening will naturally understand and know where they are lacking, and they will not feel embarrassed in public. But in his hotel, when the chef is not in front of him, Fatty Fu will not ask who made the dish. He will directly tell the waiter about the problem with the dish. The waiter will naturally know who made the dish and will go there immediately. Tell me, in this way, the chef who cooked this dish still did not lose face, but he learned a lesson. The group arrived at the seafood pool. Fatty Fu chose a Nanhai Qinglong weighing about 2 kilograms. Hui Huan took it to the pier. Someone immediately gave up her seat. Fatty Fu picked up the knife on the chopping board and talked with the chef. Explain. Can I lend you the knife and use it? The man quickly said, Master, you can use it. Although he is not Fatty Fu's apprentice, the only real apprentices are Hui Huan and Xiaoli, but the entire chef here calls him Master instead of Master. Hui Huan was worried that the lobster would pinch Fatty Fu's hand, so she said, Master, I'll do it. Fatty Fu shook his head. He reached out and grabbed the back of the lobster, lifted it up, took a chopstick in his right hand, inserted it through the urine outlet at the tail of the lobster, and stopped when a quarter of the chopstick was left. After pausing for 5 or 6 seconds, he took out his chopsticks and lobster urine spurted out from the outlet. I don't know if he was shocked, or if the pee just now was so satisfying. The lobster, which had been dancing wildly in the air just now, suddenly became stiff. Fatty Fu pressed the lobster on the chopping board, and the tip of the knife came from the joint between the lobster's head and body was inserted into it, and with a horizontal stroke, the lobster was immediately unable to move. The tip of the knife was cut along the back of the lobster to the tail. This knife not only cut through the hard shell on the back of the lobster, but also cut through the thin layer of shrimp meat on the back. Press the back of the lobster with your fingers and pull it apart to expose the eye. Picked up the black shrimp line on the back with the tip of the knife and took out the entire shrimp line. Then the tip of the knife was pressed against the shell on both sides, and with a few strokes on the left and right, a whole piece of white lobster meat was taken out. Fatty Fu stuffed the lobster meat into a bucket of ice cubes that Hui Huan brought over. The chefs who were watching all exclaimed. A layman was watching the excitement, while an expert was watching the door. At this moment, everyone saw Fatty Fu's skill. When handling lobsters, ordinary chefs need chopsticks, catheterization of the lobsters, and then scissors to cut them. To connect the head and body, you still need to use scissors to cut the back of the lobster and take out the shrimp thread with your hands. Next, you need to use a small knife to carefully remove the shrimp meat from the shrimp shell. This whole process takes 4 or 5 minutes. Fatty Fu uses a large kitchen knife and takes a few dozen seconds to remove the shrimp meat. He finished processing a lobster in one go. The kitchen knife in his hand could be transformed into scissors or a knife. Fatty Fu and Hui Huan once said a famous saying. He said that tools are extensions of human hands. This is absolutely true. A horse spoon is one of our hands. We can use it to cook, ladle water and oil, and use it as chopsticks. To push the ingredients aside and use it to turn on and off the faucet, the knife is our other hand, which can be stretched or bent, big or small. Hui Huan had seen Fatty Fu carving radish flowers and peacocks with a kitchen knife, which were lifelike. Hui Huan rarely saw Fatty Fu using other tools besides the kitchen knife. Whether it was a knife, carving knife, or scissors, he could use a kitchen knife instead. Cao Minfang and Hui Huan had said that if the fat man was an embroiderer, he could embroider flowers with the same knitting needle as a sweater. Hui Huan thought this was very vivid. The shrimp meat was chilled in the ice bucket. Fatty Fu handed the shrimp heads, tails, shells and claws to others to chop into pieces for making porridge. He started cutting the ingredients, using colored peppers and deviled peppers, cutting onions into sections, and mincing garlic. Puree the ginger into diamond-shaped slices. In just a minute or two, the shrimp meat was chilled. He took it out into slices and put it into a stainless steel bowl. He walked over to the stainless steel loading table to load the shrimp, then pushed the stainless steel bowl and slid it to the opposite side. After walking around the lotus table and walking to the wok, the cook who was standing on the wok quickly gave up his seat. Heat the oil pan, add the shrimp meat to the pan and grease it for 3 seconds. Pour a colander to filter the oil. Heat the oil in another pan. Add the onion, ginger, and garlic, then add the colored pepper and devil's chili pepper. Stir fry for 5 seconds until the aroma are released. Spicy, add the shrimp meat, and then Ma Xiao goes out and cruises the row of seasoning jars for a week. When he comes back, Ma Xiao has everything in it, including light soy sauce, cooking wine, sugar, salt, and chicken essence. The strange thing is that there are other seasonings in the horse spoon, but when I go to get a new one, not a drop of the seasoning in the horse spoon leaks out. This is the feel and speed. Add a horse spoon of seasoning, stir the pot 8 times, take it out of the pot and put it on a plate, pour water into the pot, swing it twice to clean the pot, pour the water, bang the horse spoon on the pot twice, put down the pot and horse spoon. Fatty Fu shook his chin at the 2 senior technicians working on the first and second woks at the station, gesturing for them to try it. The 2 stretched out their hands, each pinched a piece of lobster meat, tasted it, and quickly raised their thumbs. No, no, I want to try it too, to see if they are trying to flatter you, fat man. Lu Ligan shouted. He picked up a pair of chopsticks on the lotus table, picked up a piece of shrimp meat, put it into his mouth, and shouted. It's delicious, fat man, I'm going to flatter you now. The onlookers burst into laughter. Lu Ligan handed the chopsticks to Zhang Chen and said to him, you should try it too. Zhang Chen shook his head and said, I'll eat it later. Xiao Li took the plate of spicy fried lobster and went out. Zhang Chen invited Fatty Fu to go to the box as well. When they walked out, there was another round of applause behind them. After returning to the private room and sitting down, Zhang Chen couldn't wait to pick up his chopsticks, put a piece of spicy fried lobster into his mouth, and shouted, it's delicious. Lu Ligan stared at the plate of shrimp and said, it's a pity that there is so little. I can eat a plate by myself. Fatty Fu chuckled. Other dishes came one after another. Hui Huan held her breath and stared at Fatty Fu. Fatty Fu tasted every dish, nodded and said, fortunately, there is no regression. Hui Huan let out a long breath. Fatty Fu looked at her and said pleasantly, when opening a restaurant, it's not enough without regressing. You have to make progress every day. Customers are becoming more and more naughty as they eat. Why do we often introduce new dishes? It's to satisfy their crooked mouths. Otherwise, people will get tired of eating them and won't be able to eat them next time. Won't come again. Hui Huan nodded quickly and said, Master, you are right. Everyone was drinking and eating, and soon the topic of eating, drinking, and drinking came to the conversation. Fatty Fu and Zhang Chen said, your idea is quite novel, and once it is done, it will be a way forward. I think it can even be used for haircuts, manicures, and massages. I was thinking about whether our chef could come to the door, but I couldn't think of a way. Hey, when these 2 sisters talked about it, I thought it was pretty good. Zhang Chen quickly said, thank you, Master Fu. I didn't expect that Master Fu is very avant-garde and even understands the internet economy. Xiaoli said, Boss, Master has agreed that our food and drinking men and women brand will be displayed under his banner. Really? That's great, Zhang Chen shouted. It's awesome, Fu Yaozong leads the chef team, this slogan is very lethal, Lu Ligan also said from the side. I can't use my name in vain. When you start training here, I will come over and give them lectures, Fatty Fu said. There are still exams, Xiaoli said. It's just at our place, and our chefs here also have to participate. I haven't listened to master's lectures for a long time, Hui Huan said. Check, do it now, the more you do, the happier you will be. Lu Ligan shouted. Everyone was stunned for a moment. They didn't know what he was talking about. After a while, they understood that he was learning Changsha dialect. It's just that no one in Changsha could understand his Changsha dialect. Fatty Fu didn't know what he was talking about. Everyone laughed. Hui Huan looked at Zhang Chen and smiled. Zhang Chen asked, "Why are you laughing?" "Master has taken great pains for you," Hui Huan said with a smile. Zhang Chen suddenly remembered what Xiao Li said earlier about Fatty Fu having a plan to offer, and quickly said to Fatty Fu, "Master Fu, I am a layman when it comes to catering. This catering man and woman is a new thing. There is no place to learn. We have to learn the ropes on our own. Master Fu, you have to help me. If I don't help Master, I won't come," Xiaoli said. Zhang Chen quickly raised his hands towards Fatty Fu and said, "I really don't understand. The other day Hui Huan told me that the stove fire in other people's homes was not as strong as in the hotel, and I was stumped." Fatty Fu smiled and said, "The heat is controlled by people, and the Manchu Han banquet was also made on a firewood stove. There was no blower at that time. Thank you Tin Soldier, third from top to bottom for the tip. Thank you for your monthly pass on the road to a nation, just love Xiaoshu, and Wenming reading. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2034. Today's chefs, not only can't they master the heat on the gas stove at home, but also on the wood stove. When he was an apprentice, he learned it in the kitchen of the hotel, and the master only taught him these, even the recipes are all written according to the stove in the kitchen. If you ask him to use the gas stove at home, he will not win. It is because he has not learned that if it is not the stove at home, he will not be able to cook good dishes. When I first became a chef, the kitchen in the unit still used a briquette stove with a blower. As an apprentice, you must first learn to operate the stove, and seal the stove with wet coal ash every day after get off work. Don't restart the stove the next day. If the furnace is shut down, it's very annoying and the master will beat you. As for the seasonings, there are only a few kinds in total: oil, sugar, soy sauce, vinegar and message, just soy sauce, and no light or dark soy sauce. The first time I was sent by my employer to study in a hotel in Guangzhou, I was stunned when I saw it. It turns out Cantonese people use so many seasonings when cooking, such as light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, black soy sauce, and soy sauce. There are so many kinds of soy sauce, and I can't even figure out how to use it. When Fatty Fu was talking, Zhang Chen remembered the time when he went to a hotel for an interview in Haikan. Only then did he realize that not only could he not be able to tell the difference between light soy sauce and dark soy sauce, but even a professional like Fatty Fu could not tell the difference. Chefs have had such embarrassing moments. It was the first time I saw XO sauce. It was rare. I dipped my fingers in it and tasted it in my mouth. It was delicious. I couldn't help but dip it in it and taste it again. After tasting it for more than a dozen times, my brain was covered with chestnuts. There was no trace of it. This method has never been seen before. Fatty Fu said. Everyone laughed. Fatty Fu continued. Can't you cook without so many seasonings? Can't you cook with a briquette stove? Of course you can. There are so many cooking utensils in people's homes now, including gas stoves, rice cookers, microwaves, ovens, and air cookers. They are much better than we used to. There are more kitchens in the back, so of course we can also cook well. We can also bring a fierce fire single stove to supplement, Hui Huan said. Fatty Fu nodded, then it's better to cook. There is no dish that can't be cooked well, only bad heat control. If you master the characteristics of these cooking utensils and the heat, the dish can be cooked well, so you have to study, we need to learn. This hotel is quite new, so our recipes need to be new and have something of our own, so that the chefs below can learn and start cooking. Master is planning to make a cookbook, which is made using these cooking utensils. Master said that you can't just transfer the hotel's recipes there, otherwise it will definitely fail, Xiaoli said. This is the basic recipe for our future food for men and women. Master will help us make the set of recipes and write down every step clearly. Chefs who come in the future will all be required to master the set of recipes, Hui Huan and Zhang Chen explain. Great. Thank you, Master Fu, Zhang Chen shouted. Awesome, Fu's cuisine. Fu's cuisine can only be eaten by hiring chefs from Food and Drink. This is a golden sign, Lu Ligan also shouted after hearing this. Don't call it Fu's cuisine, it's disgusting. I've eaten food called Fu's cuisine before. Do you know what it feels like? Fatty Fu said. How does it feel? Lu Ligan asked. They're just like charlatans. I hate those chefs who are my apprentices, Fatty Fu said. If you really want to call them, just call them Zagcai. Miscellaneous dishes, Zhang Chen asked. Yes, miscellaneous dishes, Fatty Fu said. Being a judge in the God of Cookery competition has the advantage of meeting good chefs from all over the country. I can see the essence of each cuisine. Fatty Fu stopped here and stopped talking. Everyone else looked at him. Fatty Fu picked up his chopsticks, took a few bites of food, put his chopsticks down, and picked up his wine glass. He had no intention of clinking glasses with them. After taking a sip alone and putting down the cup, Fatty Fu looked at them and then said, Do you know why there are 8 major cuisines and 4 major cuisines? It should be formed by history, Zhang Chen said. Yes, it was formed over many years. But think about it, now that there are more and more ingredients and more dishes, why haven't new cuisines been formed? Fatty Fu asked. Here in Hangzhou, there is for a while it was called Hangzhou cuisine, and for a while it was called local cuisine in Shanghai, but why couldn't it become popular? No one here has really thought about this question. Lu Ligan became curious and asked. Why? The conditions for the formation of cuisines are gone, and there will be no new cuisines in the future, Fatty Fu said. The formation of these cuisines is determined by 2 factors, one is the ingredients, and the other is the taste. In the past, everyone lived in the same place and had the same taste. For example, in Changsha, when we sit down at a table of 10 people, they are all Hunan. Everyone likes spicy food, so if it is spicy, the chef will stir-fry it. In Shanghai Suzhou people like to eat sweet food, so chefs add sugar to everything, even stir-fried vegetables. That's it. The characteristics of a cuisine are determined by the tastes of the people in this place. Cuisine is like a gang. It is a very closed product. If you still emphasize authenticity and non-authenticity, it will be more like a gang. It's quite annoying to see those with authentic dishes. That means you are just resting on your laurels and not working hard. When I was a judge, if a contestant said that what he was cooking was authentic, he would be removed. A cuisine has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. How do you know how people cooked it hundreds of years ago? There was no chicken essence at that time, and the oil was not schemed. Do you know that the taste at that time was the same as yours now? In addition to cooking, 100 chefs can produce 100 flavors. Which one of these 100 people do you think is the authentic one? Which one of these 100 people did you learn from, or from a ghost? Learned. Then there's the ingredients. At that time, transportation was underdeveloped, and you couldn't even think about ingredients from 500 miles away. So Hunan cuisine consisted of mountain products and local products, and there was no seafood. There were few people on the seaside. Seafood is the main focus, which creates restrictions and limitations for each cuisine in terms of materials. All cuisines are formed under such conditions, but now, it is different. Everyone sits down to eat together, and there are people who have a southern accent and a northern accent. This taste has also become a southern accent. I will start to give you the spicy food. Don't eat spicy food, everyone eats their own food. Later, you eat mine and I eat yours, and the tastes become mixed. Now even if you belong to the same family, the husband may be from Hebei and the wife is from Guangxi. The two people's homes are not in Hebei or Guangxi, but in Shanghai or Hangzhou. It's impossible to win. They are all mixed together. People are already mixed together, the taste is not mixed yet. The same goes for the ingredients. Not to mention the seafood from Zhoushan, you can buy it in Xinjiang as fresh as Ningbo, including oysters from France, lobsters from Australia, sea urchins from Japan, and Arctic shrimp from Denmark. You can't just fly there, let alone it is said that vegetables from the north are now going to the south, and vegetables from the south are going to the north. In the past, there were goods from the north and the south, but now they are gone, not even the local specialties. Wherever you are, you can eat food from all over the world. In one place, people's tastes are mixed, and the ingredients are also mixed. How do you divide them into different cuisines? I'm talking about home cuisine. It's absolutely true that he is a liar. It's like today's people write articles in classical Chinese, but as a result, they themselves are not fully versed in classical Chinese. They are half full, and half full comes out to deceive people. What is it if it's not a liar? We chefs cook food for people to eat, not people who write articles and draw pictures. You can read it yourself when you write an article, and you can hang it at home if you draw a picture. We who cook food are what people like to eat. We just cook something for him to eat. Nowadays, people are mixed and their tastes are mixed, so we will make a mixed dish for him to eat. What is miscellaneous cuisine is that you don't care what kind of cuisine it is, whether it is authentic or not, you don't care what cuisine it is made from, whether it is French or Portuguese cuisine, it can be used as long as the guests just eat it if you like. Just like this spicy stir-fried lobster, the ingredients are commonly used in Cantonese and Chaozhou cuisine. When cooking, I also used seasonings from Chaozhou cuisine, but when cooking, I also used Hunan cuisine. Do you think this is Hunan cuisine or Chaozhou cuisine? Food. None of that, just food. As long as the guests like it. Wisdom, Lu Lepole slapped the table and shouted. Zhang Chen and the others listened and nodded frequently. He was very touched by what Fatty Fu said about the changes in taste. Not to mention the current mixed population, even for the same group of people, their tastes also changed quite a lot. For example, people from Hangzhou, although Hangzhou is rich in Hangzhou pepper, did not eat spicy food in the past. Some people even couldn't stand the spiciness of the mustard in the wontons and asked the boss to wash it off. He put it into the bowl after washing it. He and Xiao Zhao had just returned to Hangzhou and had noodles at Kuiwan restaurant. When the waiters saw that they were so good at eating spicy food, they regarded them as monsters. But now, there are very few locals in Hangzhou who can't eat spicy food at all, and it is still limited to older people. Young people should not be too fond of Sichuan hot pot and various spicy foods. Even KFC and McDonald's, the best sellers are spicy chicken wings. This cookbook of ours is to combine the advantages of all cuisines. There is only one premise, which is to let the guests eat fresh food. It seems that they have not eaten it often, but they like it and want to eat it. If they want to eat it, they can only eat it. Ask our chef to come over and cook it again. Fatty Fu said, our hotel needs to be new not only in terms of form, but also in the dishes. With such a cookbook, after the chef below learns it, he will be able to master all the cooking utensils and cook them by himself. This allows us to continuously create new dishes. On the other hand, it will be difficult for other hotel chefs to learn from our dishes. This is what I said. You can't move the dishes from Tuxianjiayuan here. It would be very annoying to move the dishes there. Okay, that's the miscellaneous cuisine led by Fu Yaozong. This one is also awesome, Lu Ligan said. Thank you to reader 1297873838407110656 for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for your monthly votes to Tianying 1978, Offensive Player, Book Friend 201811301053053944, Book Friend 201805082055473324, UN11, Li Rujin, Silent Heart, Mike Howard, and Fantasy in the Wind. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2035. The next day, Huihuan and the others set aside a space in the back kitchen and bought household gas stoves and high-fire single-burner stoves, as well as ovens, microwaves, air cookers, and rice cookers, as well as a stopwatch and measuring cups and cylinders for timing. Balance scales. Considering that the business of food and drink will be launched in dozens of cities across the country in the future, it is impossible for Huihuan or Xiaoli to go to every home in every city to stare at the set of recipes. Words like a little, a spoonful, and stir-fry a few times. If these words are written, it means that they are not written. In fact, the person who wrote them is not sure in his heart. A little and a spoonful must be quantified to how many milliliters and grams, and how many times to stir-fry must be accurate to how many minutes and seconds. Only after chefs are familiar with these quantitative indicators can they rely on experience as appropriate, or increase or decrease the taste according to the taste of the guests, but there must first be a standard as a basis. The other chefs in the hotel's back kitchen didn't know what they were going to do. Everyone was very curious and gathered around to watch the excitement. When they asked Huihuan and Xiaoli, they just smiled and kept everything secret until the recipes came out. Fatty Fu and Zhangqin Huihuan said that food men and women still need someone who can control the quality of dishes. Xiaoli's focus is on daily management. It is best for this person who controls quality to participate in this book. Formulate the recipe so that he will know it well. Zhang Chen and the others all think what Fatty Fu said makes sense. Since Huihuan can't leave, there must be an expert. If Xiaoli wants to reach that level, it will take time. Even if she reaches that level, she is the same as Huihuan. Her job is also the day-to-day management of the entire company. After several people discussed it, they decided to transfer Du Tao, the second cook of the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, to the food and drinking man as the executive chef. Du Tao himself is also a senior technician, so of course there is no problem with his skills, while the Ben Muishan Hotel, transferred taking a second wok will not affect the overall technical strength. Huihuan thought for a while and said to Fatty Fu, "Master, please accept him as your close disciple." "Didn't I just close the door once?" Fatty Fu stared at Huihuan, his eyes bulging. After Huihuan, Fatty Fu has not accepted an apprentice for so many years. Many of the winners in the National Master of Chef competition wanted to be apprenticed to Fatty Fu after the competition, but Fatty Fu did not agree to any of them. This time Huihuan took Xiaoli to Sanya and fought hard until Fatty Fu made an exception and accepted Xiaoli as a close disciple. Huihuan giggled, "Then you can lock me up again." Fatty Fu understood Huihuan's intentions. The chef industry is difficult to manage even if it is easy to manage. It may be one of the few industries that really pays attention to the teacher-instructor relationship. Its masters and apprentices are different from masters and apprentices in other industries. They really still have the feeling that one day is a teacher and a lifetime is a father. If the apprentice does not do well, the master will pass by and the apprentice will not even say a word. Dare not say a word. Anyone who dares to betray the master will have a bad reputation in this industry, and it will be difficult to find a job. After all, no matter how big the hotel is, the boss has no decision-making power to decide whether the chef can be used. The boss is a layman, so he decides the power lies in the hands of the executive chef, unless the boss is also a chef himself, and a chef will also sneer at such a person. If Du Tao becomes Fatty Fu's disciple, the executive chef will have someone to suppress him. At the same time, Hui Huan and Xiaoli will also become his senior sisters. He will not dare to expose Xiaoli's dirt, otherwise, the master will get rid of him. Fatty Fu sighed softly. Since he had brought up this matter in the first place, Hui Huan's request was considered reasonable, and Fatty Fu agreed. Hui Huan went to talk to Du Tao and told him about the food and drinking man and woman project and why they moved so many household cooking utensils. She said they wanted to transfer him to be the chief executive of food and drinking man and woman kitchen. What do you think? Hui Huan asked. Du Tao didn't say anything. Although the title of executive chef was very nice and the salary was good, he hesitated. He looked at the pile of gadgets in the distance and thought to himself, if he went there, he would have to say goodbye to the hotel's wok and deal with these gadgets every day. This would feel like a waste of martial arts. The profession of chef is one skill can make you eat all over the world. As long as you have the skills in hand, you don't have to worry about work and income even if you are not in Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. Now if you let him give up his martial arts, wouldn't he be cutting off his future? Hui Huan looked at him and knew what he was hesitating about. Hui Huan said to him, "The cookbook we are assisting master in making is master's last cookbook. He will put all his experience and skills in it. Even if others want to follow suit, master will not want it. If you are willing to go to eating men and women, Mr. Zhang and I will do the work of the master and ask him to accept you as his disciple and participate in the production of this cookbook. Mr. Zhang himself is also the chairman of food and drink. I think if he and I go together, master will sell this face." After hearing this, Du Tao was moved. One trick can be used all over the world is good, and it would be even better if he could become Fu Yaozong's disciple. If so, wherever he goes in the future, his monthly salary will be increased by at least 10,000. This in those days, senior technicians were not uncommon, but Fu Yaozong had only a few apprentices. If I can become Master Fu's apprentice, I will go, Du Tao and Hui Huan said. Hui Huan nodded. Du Tao became Fatty Fu's disciple. He called Hui Huan and Xiaoli both senior sisters. Xiaoli blushed when he called her and said, "I'm such a bad guy, it's embarrassing." Hui Huan smiled and said, "No matter how bad you are still a senior sister. No one can change her." Even though Xiaoli went to Sanya, she still practiced knife skills every day, chopping potatoes and radishes, or filling a pot with 1/3 of the pot's worth of sand and practicing turning the pot with one hand. Back in Hangzhou, Xiaoli not only tried new dishes with Hui Huan and Du Tao, but also followed Fatty Fu every day. She wanted to get started, but of course it was still early. Her task was to take notes with a pen and paper by the side, and watch them with her eyes every day. "I have also made a lot of progress, at least I know how to make each dish." Zhang Chen and Hui Huan said not to make Master Fu work too hard. After all, at such an old age, he can work up to 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon every day. During these 3 or 4 hours, Xiaoli followed Master Fu. During the rest of the time, she continued to practice knife skills, practice cooking. When the sand in the pot spills out less and less, she can now cut a piece of dried fragrant into 4 pieces, and then cut into shredded dried fragrant. Hui Huan praised her for her rapid progress and that she was born to be a cook. This suddenly increased Xiaoli's confidence. What made her most happy was that the dried fragrant shreds she cut were now ready for use in Tuxianjiayuan. They were no longer just meals can be provided to employees. Yes, starting tomorrow, you can shred the meat, Hui Huan and Xiaoli said. While Fatty Fu, Hui Huan, and Xiaoli were busy, Zhang Chen was also busy. He went to their Jibao logistics base and took out half of the warehouse in Gugong's yard and divided it into 2 floors. As the headquarters of food and drink, it covers a total area of almost 1,000 square meters. In other cities, food and drink has a processing workshop of 1 to 200 square meters, with an office and rest area upstairs. Because Hangzhou is the headquarters, it is different. On the first floor, Zhang Chen not only set up a processing workshop, but also renovated a large kitchen. This is used to train chefs. Zhang Chen prepares chefs from all over the country to unify their skills here for a period of time. And discipline and etiquette training before taking up the job. These chefs are sent to every household. Everything they say and do when they go to a customer's home represents the image of the company. Therefore, in addition to skill training, they must also be trained in courtesy and etiquette. In addition to several offices, there are 2 classrooms and a restaurant on the 2nd floor. This restaurant is not used for eating, but for training waiters to set up tables. Zhang Chen arrived here, went to Zhang Xiangbei's office, and asked Zhang Xiangbei to call Wu Huan and Li Wei. He introduced them to the Eat for Men and Women project, and then said to them solemnly, "I have brought you here. First, I hope that in the future, eating man and woman will be able to get support from your Zician delivery. The reason why eating man and woman is put together with you is because in the future, eating man and woman will need ingredients every day. I need to purchase all the ingredients and seasonings from you, so it's more convenient to put them together." "Then they are our customers," Wu Huan said with a smile. "Not only do we support them, we also welcome them." "This is one," Zhang Chen said seriously. "The second is, I want to hear what suggestions you young people have for this project. You are active thinkers and are better at the internet than me." Zhang Xiangbei thought for a moment and said to Zhang Chen, "Not only does it have to be delicious, it also has to look good, and it has to have a sense of ceremony." "What do you mean?" Zhang Chen asked. "Tasty, of course, refers to the taste of the dishes, and good-looking means it has a performance quality. For example, the chef can carve the radish flowers on the plate, and the waiter can fold the napkins on the spot. It's not just for one table. It's also very fast, so everyone sees it as novel and fun, and has a different experience." When Zhang Xiangbei said this, Wu Huan and Li Wei both said yes, this is good. Zhang Chen nodded and thought Zhang Xiangbei's suggestion was very good. "There is a sense of ceremony," Zhang Xiangbei said. "Foreigners are better than us at this point. If they go to a high-end restaurant to eat, they will be very formal and need to wear a formal dress to attend. We are very casual wherever we go. This is banquets at home are more likely to become casual. In fact, if it is casual, the people being invited will feel less valued. So when you go to someone's home, you need to pay more attention to the sense of ceremony. When the waiters arrive, they must set up the table strictly according to the highest banquet standards. The seats of the host, the guest of honor, the seats of the deputy host, the seats of the deputy guest of honor, etc. must be clearly distinguished. When setting the table, everything is essential, including bones, plates, soup bowls, spoons, chopstick holders, water cups, red wine glasses, white wine glasses, etc., including folded napkins. Be sure to set them up first, and wait until the guests are seated before taking away the unnecessary ones. It makes it look very formal and gives a sense of ceremony. Even though it is a family banquet, both the guests and the guests will feel very dignified, which is different from eating at ordinary people's homes. When Zhang Chen was in Haikan, in order to cope with the interview at the hotel, he went to Xinhua bookstore and bought a copy of White Swan Hotel Management Practice. He read it carefully for a few days. He still vaguely remembers that these things are in the book. They have all been written, but how did Zhang Xiangbei know this? How do you know this? Zhang Chen asked Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei smiled, I used to deal with hotel restaurants every day. Whether it was Chinese food or Western food, there were only a few things in the restaurant. Why don't I learn it? Only when I learn it can I have a common language with others. Thank you. Zhao 1017, Feng Chen Passerby Ye Buzan, Mao, Flat Tire Mars Rover, and Book Friends 120906144810941 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2036. After the first month, the whole fresh home delivery business seemed to have relaxed. It was no longer as hectic and tense as before. The company seemed to have entered normal operation and became orderly. Even the Spring Festival was able to be overcome without any mistakes. The company's management has more confidence in themselves. There is only a short time between before and after the year, but for Wu Huan, Zhang Xiangbei, Xiao Wu, Zhou Ruyi, Sun Xiangyang, and Li Wei below, psychologically, they feel that their company has already, after a year, it looks a bit like an old company. In fact, the most important thing is that they are now strong and ready to build a new company. They are no longer as embarrassed as before. The preparatory personnel are transferred from various departments and other branches, and they can quickly form a team, all of which are already experienced people. Who should do what and how to do it, no one needs to be told, he just knows how to do it. This also makes them feel that they are already an old company from another perspective. Only old companies have such confidence, and they are already a big company. It only took less than a year for Zaixianqi to grow into a large company rapidly. They now have more than 18,000 employees across the country and have daily sales of more than 600 million. And whether it is personnel, number of customers, or sales, they are still growing rapidly every day. After the branches in Wuhan, Chengdu, Chongqing, and Changsha go online, they will not only occupy the coastal provinces, but also half of the country. The three companies in Nanjing, Hangzhou and Guangzhou are already developing secondary branches in more cities in the region. Company. In addition to Suzhou and Ningbo, their business has now expanded to Wuxi, Nantong, Suzhou, Wenzhou, Shaoxing, Taizhou, Jiaxing, Dongguan, Zhuhai and Foshan. All this is due to their stable and expanding vegetable supply base. Lu Dihua's Shaoguang office has been upgraded to a Shandong branch, and now the scope of procurement has expanded to the entire province. In Ningxia, the first crop of vegetables from the farms they acquired and cooperated with years ago has begun to be supplied. Xiang Evian then acquired several more farms, and their layout throughout Ningxia has been completed. In Ningyuan, Wenwen is encroaching on one township after another. With the support of the local government, the progress is indeed very fast. In other places, the number of companies, farms, and cooperatives they cooperate with has increased as the popularity of Zaixian delivery has increased. Now, instead of them looking for each other, the other parties in turn come to them for cooperation. What reassures Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan most is that the production scale of Shentuhanjian is constantly expanding, and the production of fresh-keeping cabinets has been able to catch up with the development speed of their business, not only meeting the needs of newly developed cities, but also the needs of the increasing number of city fresh cabinets have been developed. Wu Huan walked into Zhang Xiangbei's office and asked him, "How are you? You haven't turned a corner yet." Zhang Xiangbei shook his head and said, "I still think it's not good to ruin other people's jobs, especially since we have been working well together. From my standpoint, I still think we should do it ourselves to maximize the benefits," Wu Huan said. Zhang Xiangbei smiled and said, I understand, that is your responsibility, but have you ever heard of the story of Tao Zigong, also known as Fan Li, about turning things around when the time comes, and chasing the benefits of the 11th? It means waiting for a good time to buy and sell, but only get 1/10 of the profit. Don't eat it all by yourself. In this way, you will make money and popularity. Humph, you even quoted scriptures. Was it Gu Gong who told you? Wu Huan asked with a sneer. Zhang Xiangbei said, yes, how did I know this, but it is very enlightening. Fan Li, he took 11 za with him. Well, you also have your 11 za, Wu Huan said and sighed. Mr. Zhang, why do I feel that you are becoming less and less like a businessman? I am a businessman, but I don't want to be the kind of businessman who is only interested in profit, Zhang Xiangbei said. From an economic point of view, it is not cost-effective to be a businessman like that. If you become a villain, the final cost may be more than you get. Business activities are also activities where people interact with each other, not just the exchange of money and interests, especially in China. When you make money and offend others, it's hard to say whether you make money or lose money in the end. Sometimes I think that my dad didn't give me anything else, but one thing is that some of his practices were learned by himself without a teacher. After doing that, it looked like he didn't make much money, but in the end he made money. Wu Huan became curious and asked, what did Mr. Zhang do? He is not like a businessman. He is not very good at bargaining and is not smart enough. Many times, he would rather suffer some losses. I remember that when I was a child, I was like Uncle Pol and Aunt Shahen. I often laughed at him on this point and felt that he was in trouble. In this regard, it's a bit silly. But in fact, this also made him very popular. When something really happened, everyone would help him. In the end, he, who didn't seem to be very good at business and didn't look like a businessman, actually made his business more and more successful. Big. As Zhang Xiangbei spoke, Wu Huan was thoughtful. After a moment of silence, she said, okay, are you settled then? It's settled. Zhang Xiangbei looked at Wu Huan and said, just do as I say. Okay, I'll go to each house and talk to them, Wu Huan said and walked out. What Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan are talking about is their frozen meat products, beef, pork, chicken, and other poultry meat. There is a big difference between the price of frozen meat and the price of fresh meat. Many schools, hotels, and units purchase, most of them are frozen meat, and some urban residents also choose to purchase frozen meat because of the price. Frozen meat is almost monopolized by several large meat products companies in China, and their supply prices are quite different from those imported from abroad. For example, some companies in North America and Europe produce live pigs, but the pork itself is in their sales there are not large, and they are all exported to Asia. In the domestic cattle breeding industry, large-scale feedlots basically breed dairy cows to make dairy products. The scale of beef cattle breeding is small, and a large part of the beef depends on imports. The original products of Zai are supplied by several domestic frozen product import and export companies. These companies also purchase goods from foreign suppliers, not from the source. The biggest problem with these goods is that they all come by sea, with a journey of more than 10 to 20 days in between. Sometimes they cannot be supplied normally. When a new batch of goods arrives, the supply is sufficient, but between this batch of goods and when the next batch of goods arrives, there will sometimes be delays, and the price fluctuates greatly and is not very stable. Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan wanted to set up an import and export company of their own to engage in the import of fresh and frozen products. For them, not only could they solve the above problems, but they also had the most favorable condition, which was Xiaofang. When Xiaofang was implementing international multinational operations at Zhuanghui International, she had contacts with all the major meat product suppliers in the world. She could help their import and export companies to establish channels directly with these companies, allowing them to purchase goods from the source. Smithfield, the largest meat product company in North America, is now owned by Zhuanghui International. There is certainly no problem for them. Although Shuanghui International encountered obstacles when it acquired the largest meat product company in Europe, the Spanish farmer group, Xiaofang, and the relationship between Nongfu Group and the Mexican Sigma Alimentos food company that jointly initiated the acquisition at that time was very good. Xiaofang is also connected to the world's largest meat products company, Brazil's JBS. They have branches in Australia, North America, and South America. Xiaofang can introduce all these channels to Zhangjiangbei and the others, which is a unique advantage for Zaxian delivery. Their channels can be said to be better than those of the frozen product companies that originally supplied them. Be good. The price you can get is also more favorable, and there are a lot less links in the middle. But the problem is that as soon as their import and export companies start importing, it will be a disaster for these frozen product companies. Originally, the demand for Zaxian shui accounted for more than half of their demand. Now, not only will this part of their business be lost, but also, the price of frozen products supplied by Zaxian shui is cheaper than theirs. Their other customers, there will definitely be losses. For them, the only way is to close their doors. This is what Zhangjiangbei calls losing their jobs. At this point, Zhangjiangbei and Wu Huan had a disagreement. Wu Huan believed that we are in the business. Since we are in the business, it is the survival of the fittest. It is normal for them to be eliminated. Zhangjiangbei doesn't think so. He thinks there is a better way, that is, cooperation. Together with these frozen product companies, they set up an import and export company for fresh products and absorb them all to become shareholders of the company. In this way, everyone can make money and achieve win-win development. The two argued about this matter for several days, and finally reached a consensus today. Wu Huan went to talk to each of these companies and told them Zhangjiangbei's ideas. These companies were already feeling uneasy. Those who were doing wholesale business, when they saw their customers getting bigger and bigger, they felt happy and worried at the same time. The joy was that the bigger the customers were, the more money they would make. The worry is that customers are not fools. Everyone knows that when they become big, that is when their wings are full. At this time, it is normal for customers to jump ship. They can live a good life without relying on you. In the final analysis, middlemen are just a springboard in the entire transaction chain. So when these companies see that home delivery is getting bigger and bigger and placing more and more orders, they feel uneasy, knowing that the day of jumping ship may be approaching. When Wu Huanlei told them about this, there was no reason for these companies not to be happy. They immediately agreed. At the same time, they felt that Zhangjiangbei was a good guy and very reliable in his work. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to Bolan K, Zipanjiang 1, and, How, Friendly Stone, Sand Dust Mood, Fish Eating Brother, Nan K Yiman 79, and the monthly ticket for the first home loan. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2037. The products of Zhangjiangbei's food factory, except for ham, which has not been put on the market because the time for drying has not yet come, other products have been put on the market one after another and are very popular, whether it is pickled vegetables, dried prunes, or pickled vegetables. Pickled cucumbers, pickled beans, soy sauce meat, bacon, soy duck, marinated chicken, and fish, etc., are all popular with buyers. Zhangjiangbei and the others have opened a special column on the Zaxian Shui homemade website, which sells pickled products from their food factory. There is a dazzling array of products that no one has ever seen before. There are so many pickled foods that there is really no dish that cannot be pickled or no dish that cannot be soaked. Even Fatty Fu was dumbfounded when he looked at it. He said that he had been a chef for almost 70 years and had never seen pickled spinach, pickled leeks, and mustard pickled water spinach. He tasted it and found that the taste was very good. This made Fu the fat man was very curious and must come to Gugong to ask him how he made these monster dishes. Fatty Fu and Gonggu soon became close friends. Gugong would release a new product every now and then. Whenever a new product came out, either he would go to Tuxianjiayuan, or Fatty Fu would come over here, try it for himself, and then comment on it. Ichiban. Gugong also provided a lot of suggestions for Fatty Fu and the others on the recipes they were making. In turn, Fatty Fu also put forward many suggestions for improvement on the taste of some foods in his food factory, which benefited Gugong a lot. Fatty Fu and Gugong have been friends for many years, and Gugong and Zhang Xiangbei have also been friends for many years. These three people often get together. When people who don't know see them, they think they are seeing three generations. In fact, when they are together, it was more like brothers talking to each other. Of course, Fatty Fu and Gugong spent more time talking, while Zhang Xiangbei listened more. Zhang Xiangbei listened to the two of them chatting, and it felt like he came out of one time tunnel and plunged into another time tunnel. Both of them had too rich experiences, too much knowledge, and too many stories to tell. Zhang Xiangbei joked with them, "I feel like I am aging rapidly and will soon catch up with you." Both Fatty Fu and Gugong laughed. When Zhang Xiangbei said this, he and Fatty Fu were sitting on the sofa in Gugong's office. Gugong's shape was very strange. He looked like a monkey, squatting on the sofa. Fatty Fu had scolded Gugong and told him, "You are good at everything, but you have to squat when you speak. I am so old and so fat, I can squat for a while, but after a long time, it will be very annoying." From then on, when Fatty Fu came back, the first thing Gugong did was to ask him to sit on the sofa. He sat next to him and chatted with him. As they chatted, he squatted on the sofa unconsciously. Zhang Chen and his food factory were originally established to process the vegetables and ingredients in stock that were not distributed every day in the workshop. But now, because the products of the food factory are so popular, they actually need to supply a lot of raw materials to Zaixiansen to place an order, specially used for making pickled products. That's not enough. Many products on the website actually require reservations. Gugong is very strict on this point. He is not allowed to start selling before the pickling time is up, even if it is half a day. Wu Huan reminded him that it will take time to deliver the goods, and the half day has passed. Gugong said no, as long as the time has not arrived, it is not a qualified product. I cannot allow unqualified products to leave the factory. It's really not that they are doing hunger marketing. Many of their products are indeed only available online for a few hours and are sold out immediately. Customers need to make reservations again. There is no way. There are too many people who have made reservations. Each batch is made to satisfy this requirement. There is not much left for some of the demand. Pickled food is different from fresh food. They are all products of time. It really takes so many days of pickling and so many days of drying before they can be completed. If they can do without an oven, they will definitely not use an oven. In this way, the production cycle of their products will be longer than others, which is also the reason for tight supply. Their products are more expensive than other similar products, but anyone who has tried them knows that their prices are justified and they are indeed more delicious than those from other manufacturers. Customers who have bought their Zaixian pickled food cannot accept other products. After tasting more delicious things, their appetites are whetted and their mouths become cunning. If they are asked to give in, it would be difficult for him to make do with it. Gugong and Zhang Xiangbei said, "This pickled food is just like you young people chasing women. You must be patient. You always want to eat fast food. If you can catch any good woman, the woman in the shampoo room can get it the fastest. Would you want it? Many bosses are just stupid. This thing is marinated in a sauce vat for a few more days and there is no cost. If it is exposed to a few more days, the sun will not ask you for the electricity bill. They don't want to do it, so they just want to cash in immediately. Quickly, use the oven to bake and the dryer to dry, but the product comes out with wrong taste, so you have no choice but to sell it at a reduced price. Do you think such a boss can't even do the accounting? You still need to pay more for electricity to use the oven and dryer, but the price still won't go up. Why bother? Are you doing something stupid and losing money? Like us, we take our time, and the cost has not increased. The selling price is higher than them, and the profit is better than them. Is it more cost effective for us to do this? Gu Gong talked to Zhang Xiangbei, and Zhang Xiangbei kept nodding his head, thinking that what Gu Gong said made sense. Money can indeed confuse a person's mind. If a person only has money in his eyes and rushes towards the money, he will not be able to see anything else, and his IQ will drop rapidly. It's a very simple truth that I can't understand. Gamblers are the most impatient, so their IQ is the most worrying, Gu Gong and Zhang Xiangbei said. The boss of Gu Gong's original factory knew that the pickled products of Zaixian delivery that were very popular in the market were made by Gu Gong. He made a special trip to find Gu Gong and wanted to invite him back. She and Gu Gong, he said that as long as he could go back, he would double his salary. My salary has doubled since I got here, Gu Gong said. Then I will give you 4 times, 5 times, in this way, I will give you 80,000 yuan a month, the boss said to Gu Gong cruelly. Gu Gong couldn't say it. When I was at your place, it was already rancid. You said the rice was rancid. If you fried it again and added more ingredients and seasonings, what kind of good rice could you get? Can you fry the rancid food? Already. The boss glared at Gu Gonggen and could only walk away angrily. When Zhang Xiangbei learned about this, he smiled and said to Gu Gong, with such good treatment, why don't you go back? What do you mean, you want to drive me away? Asked the consultant. Of course not, Zhang Xiangbei said with a smile, this is my place, and there is a unified standard for wages. I can't give you 80,000 a month for the time being. Any number she said means nothing to me. Even if she gave me 200,000 yuan a month, I would not go back, Gu Gong said. Why? Zhang Xiangbei asked. I have seen it through and I want to understand it, Gu Gong said. Gu Gong's craftsmanship is not something I suddenly acquired now. It has always been with me. Why did her factory become famous in the first place? It was at that time that she still had the heart to do things well, and she could still listen to some of the truths I told her, so the products at that time should be said to be pretty good. But people, after making money, they will think highly of themselves and think that the company can grow big because they are so powerful that they cannot listen to what others say. In order to increase production, they hire a half-assed professor. It is said that the process needs to be modified. How to modify it? That is to add a dryer and oven. As a result, the production cycle of the product has been shortened, and the output has indeed increased, but the taste has declined. Consumers are not fools. If they are dissatisfied, they will just not buy it. This has resulted in a large backlog of products and hired a half-assed marketing expert. This expert, there are only 2 tricks, one is to sell with prizes, and the other is to cut prices and promote, and turn your own products into junk. After it was made into junk goods, I started to buy in groups, sell it to units, give kickbacks and commissions to the people in charge, etc. Anyway, I don't know how many stupid things I have done. I think something will happen sooner or later. If I go back, everything will go back to the original point soon. If I say one thing, she will order another thing to be made. Do you think that if you follow her instructions, will the food taste delicious? This kind of boss, when things are going smoothly, I feel like I can do anything. When something goes wrong, I never look for the reason in myself. If the food doesn't taste good, she will definitely think that it's because of my lack of skills. She will feel that giving me 200,000 yuan a month is not worth it. What she will do next is to think about how to deduct my money, and she will even think about how to make me get out of here. This way she shouldn't spend the 200,000, not just her, most bosses will do this. You think I'm so stupid that I don't even understand this? Gu Gong looked at Zhang Xiangbei and said to him seriously. It's good for me here. The most important thing is that I can do things according to my own ideas here. Mr. Zhang, if you think the efficiency of the food factory is not good enough, I will reduce my salary by 10,000 yuan a month, no objection, just don't change my way of doing things. Zhang Xiangbei said with a smile, how could I change your approach? Your approach has already established our home fresh delivery sign. I would be so stupid that I don't even understand this and destroy the sign myself. That's okay, I'm a soldier. Gu Gong grinned, and Zhang Xiangbei's heart moved as he listened, knowing that he was talking about a scholar who died for his confidant. Zhang Xiangbei came out of Gu Gong's office and walked around the sunroom outside. In the sunroom, there were rows of hams drying, dripping with oil in the sun. When you walked in, you could smell the rich ham. The fragrance. Zhang Xiangbei always goes to the innermost row of shelves to take a look. The hams on this row of shelves are smaller than those on other shelves. They are all Jinhu Liangtuwu hams. The hams in this batch all come from Bao Bao. Jiao, 4 of them, belong to Lao Bao's family. Zhang Xiangbei looked up at the sky through the glass, and he seemed to hear the pig's shrill scream again. Thank you for your monthly votes on the Road, Tian Tian, Tamagotchi, Good 110123, Flat Tire Mars Rover, and Book Friends 201901290828268883. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2038. Zhang Xiangbei came out of their sunroom, or more accurately, the sunroom. When he passed by the dining and drinking men and women, he went in to take a look. In the classroom upstairs, training was taking place, and the high-pitched voice of the training teacher came from above. This group of more than 30 people participating in the training were all from Shanghai Hangcheng and Ningbo Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, as well as Sanya. They were transferred from the Ban Mutian Hotel, including chefs from the back kitchen, as well as foremen or supervisors from the original restaurant. The chefs here have to learn how to set up the table and practice various wine pouring skills, including folding napkins. Restaurant foremen and supervisors who are waiters must, like Xiaoli, practice knife skills and pot flipping, and learn the basic skills of a chef. In addition, they all need to learn the etiquette related to banquets. These people will then be the store managers of diet men and women in various cities across the country, and the requirements for them will naturally be stricter. They will undergo a month-long training here. After their training is completed, diet men and women will processing workshops across the country have also been renovated, and fatty foods recipes have also been released. These store managers will go to various cities to recruit chefs and waiters. The waiters will be trained locally by themselves, and the chefs will be sent to Hangzhou in batches. Fatty Fu, Huihuan, Du Tao, and other senior staff from Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. The technicians will take turns giving them lessons. They will be familiar with the recipes formulated by Fatty Fu and others and pass the examination. In May, food and drink will be launched simultaneously in more than 30 cities across the country. Everyone was training upstairs. The downstairs was empty. Only a few people were installing cameras one by one in the processing workshop. Zhang Xiangbei walked over to take a look. He knew that the reason why there were so many cameras here was based on food and drink. The concept of full Ming kitchen for both men and women. In the processing workshop, everything from weighing, washing, rough processing, and even pre-cooking, such as stews and dishes that require large oil pans for frying, will be processed here first. Every operation link is carried out under surveillance video. If you are interested, you can see the whole process of your order here, and finally the ingredients are put into storage boxes one by one. For food safety reasons, these storage boxes are sealed when they leave here. When they arrive at the customer's home, the customer will open the seals in person. Quanming Kitchen means that everything is under your control. It is done under the eyes and is more transparent than the average hotel kitchen, so customers can rest assured. Zhangjiangbei and the others deliver fresh food at home and every process is monitored. Zhangjiangbei sees these surveillance pictures every day and has become accustomed to it. When he got here and saw these people installing cameras, he looking at it, my heart moved. He quickly walked out and walked back to the Banmushan logistics base opposite. Zhang Xiangbei went upstairs. Instead of going to his own office, he went directly to Wu Huan's office. Wu Huan was not in the office. The secretary told Zhang Xiangbei that she was in the conference room, having a meeting with the bosses of the frozen food companies. Zhang Xiangbei walked over, greeted everyone and came out. Wu Huan waved her hands to those present, indicating that they would wait a moment. She followed Zhang Xiangbei out and asked him what instructions he had. It's okay, it's okay. You are busy here first. When you are done, come to my office. I have something to discuss with you, Zhang Xiangbei said. Wu Huan pointed to the conference room behind him, and Zhang Xiangbei said, it has nothing to do with this. Wu Huan understood, nodded, and went back to the conference room. Zhang Xiangbei returned to his office, sat down on the sofa, and bit his nails. Ever since he was a child, Zhang Xiangbei liked to bite his nails when he was thinking about things. Every time Xiang Nan saw him, he would come and pick up his ears. Later, if you stop holding his ears, if you see him biting his nails again, you will knock his hands off with a snap. Zhang Xiangbei went to high school in the United States, but he still hasn't gotten rid of the habit of biting his nails. When he bit his nails, Xiaofang would come over and instead of knocking his hand off, she would use her fingers to bite his nails. Tapping twice on the back of his hand to remind him, Zhang Xiangbei quickly put his hand down and smiled at Xiaofang. In fact, everyone in their family has their own habitual movements when thinking. Xiaofang will subconsciously turn the pen in her hand with one hand, while Xiangnan will purse her lips and bite her lower lip. No matter where Zhang Chen is, as long as there is a window, he will go to the window, hold his hands on his chest, and look outside with squinted eyes. When he turns around, he basically thinks of something. Squinting his eyes is a habit of many people who draw, that it is said that this way the depth of field will be deeper, the sense of perspective will be stronger, and the layers of the world in the eyes will be more distinct. Where's Mom? Mom. Zhang Xiangbei remembered that her mother was the most exaggerated. If she thought about something for a long time, her face would turn pale and fine beads of sweat would appear on her forehead, as if she was very nervous. Zhang Xiangbei sighed softly. Thinking of Xiang Nan being able to fight, he put his hands down and sat there blankly. After sitting for a while, he took off his shoes and squatted on the sofa like Gu Gong did, but he didn't squat for a while. The person staggered and almost fell. Zhang Xiangbei laughed to himself, sat down on the sofa, put his feet down, and was impressed. He felt that Gu Gong was really good at squatting. Regarding why he likes to squat and talk, Gu Gong told Zhang Xiangbei that this was a habit he developed when he was a student and doing field work. People in rural areas have a subconscious attitude towards people outside. Precautionary mentality: when a person is standing there, and you go over to talk to him, you basically say one sentence, and he answers half a sentence, and then walks away quickly without saying more than 2.5 sentences. If someone is squatting there, you walk over and squat down next to him. When the two people are squatting and talking, the other person's wariness will be gone. Once the conversation box is opened, you can chat for a long time. After discovering this secret, when Gu Gong sees someone standing there again, if there is something higher next to him, such as steps, stone mills, or big rocks. Gugu will walk over and squat down on these things. The other person is a bit shorter, but not to the point where he lowers his head to talk to you. If you start chatting with someone at this time, the other person will be too embarrassed to walk away right away, and the conversation will continue. Next, Gugong went a step further and approached the other person, first offering him a cigarette. If the other person took it, he would be too embarrassed to say even a few words and immediately walk away. If you chatted with the person for a few words and then squatted down, the other person would also be happy to squat down. Come down and chat with you. Once you successfully induce the other person to squat down too, the wariness will be lifted, and the conversation can be very deep. In many cases, you can squat for hours at a time. Over time, squatting and talking became a subconscious action and habit of Gugong. Without squatting, it seemed that he could not even think quickly and his language could not be organized well. People just like to talk while squatting and fart while standing. Gugong told Zhang Xiangbei, and Zhang Xiangbei laughed, but he remembered that when he was in New Haven, he went to the kitchens of those restaurants and smoked and chatted with the chefs in the alley outside the kitchen. China people, Japanese, and Indians really like to squat and smoke and talk. White people can't. White people don't like to squat. They like to stand there and lean on something to smoke and chat. Wu Huan came in from the door and saw Zhang Xiangbei sitting there alone with a silly smile. Wu Huan walked over and asked, "What are you laughing at?" "Sit down," Zhang Xiangbei said to Wu Huan with a smile. Wu Huan sat down and looked at Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei said, "Oh, it's nothing. I just tried it, squatting on the sofa and thinking about things like Gugong did, but it didn't work." Wu Huan laughed and said, "I tried it too, but my center of gravity was unstable and I couldn't even squat." "Yes, yes," Zhang Xiangbei said, and the two of them laughed for a while. "Is it done here?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. He was asking about the meeting in the conference room between Wu Huan and several frozen product companies about the distribution of shares in the new company. "It's done. The registered capital is 100 million, 40% for us, and 12% for each of the five of them," Wu Huan said, and Zhang Xiangbei nodded. "This is a share distribution that restricts both parties. Zaixianshu accounts for 40%. Without their consent, if you want to amend the company's articles of association, you will not reach 70% of the approval votes. Likewise, if Zaixianshuang proposes a motion to amend the company's articles of association, it will not pass the threshold without the support of 3 of the other parties. They are single major shareholders and have the power to make business decisions, but they do not have a simple majority of more than 50%. If the other party unanimously opposes it, they can still veto some of their business plans, which can protect the interests of the majority of shareholders. In addition, as shareholders, we borrowed money and invested $20 million in the import and export company. This will be enough liquidity," Wu Huan continued, and Zhang Xiangbei agreed. "By the way, Mr. Zhang, what do you want from me?" Wu Huan asked. "Do you remember that I told you about helping those farmers who are alone and have financial difficulties at home?" Zhang Xiangbei asked Wu Huan. Wu Huan nodded. Of course she remembered it. However, after they discussed this matter several times, they felt that there was no way to do it. These farmers were not professional growers. Their planting area was very small. Each person had a small amount of land. Except for they grow crops in the fields, that is, some vegetables in the private land in front of and behind the house, and they raise 2 pigs and a few chickens at home. Their residences are still scattered. As a home delivery service, it is impossible to drive to these farmers' homes to collect vegetables. If they go to dozens of homes for a whole day, they will not be able to collect vegetables. They might as well go directly. It is more cost-effective to distribute fuel costs and labor wages to these farmers, but paying them directly is not what they should do as a company, and it cannot help them. Many times, Starting from a good starting point, there is a high probability that there will be no good results in the end. Zhang Xiangbei is not so naive. He knows that obtaining without cost will only make people lazy and cunning, rather than diligent. Do you have any idea? Wu Huan asked Zhang Xiangbei. Yes, Zhang Xiangbei said, now there is no crowdfunding platform. When someone suffers from a serious illness and the family has financial difficulties, they will post crowdfunding information on the platform, and everyone will help these needy families. Do you want to raise funds to help these farmers in need? Wu Huan asked. No, free donations will bring out some bad things in human nature, which is not a good idea. I want to establish a platform, a direct connection platform between farmers in need and kind-hearted people in the city, so that everyone can do their best to help these farmers in need without increasing their own burden, and these farmers in need can do their best to work. Zhang Xiangbei talked to Wu Huan, and Wu Huan asked, how to do it? Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for guanzipping. Pingle village is always happy. Chenbei Peak, crickets and eggs, eternal green emperor Yan, passerby Ye Buzan, frivolous, silent heart, Deji Lao, Xiao Mu Yu, sand dust mood, heart dances, that year, monthly tickets for a, Guandian electromechanical, fantasy in the wind, and book friends 201905222127404445. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2039. Let me do the math for you. Take pork as an example. Now the average price of pork is 17 yuan per pound. Tenderloins and chops are more expensive. Pork neck meat is the cheapest. On average, this is the price. How much does a farmer sell a pig for a pound? 8 to 5 yuan to 9 yuan, and the meat yield is 75%. For a 200 jin pig, the price difference is more than 700 yuan when it is transformed from a raw pig into pork. The pigs are sent to the slaughterhouse, and the slaughterhouse kills the pigs for free, but they forcefully recycle the pig heads and pig waste at a low price. The money is not much, but they will still give you a little. Of course, the farmer can sell the meat directly instead of selling the pigs, but in that case, who will he sell the meat to? He doesn't have a stall in the farmer's market, how can he sell it? So the average farmer, in addition to doing important things at home, pigs are sold to pig dealers as live pigs, and the price difference alone amounts to 700 to 800 yuan per pig. If it's a local pig, the meat is even more expensive. It can be sold for an average of $20 to $21 per pound. The price difference is even bigger. As for native pigs, they all grew up eating grain feed. Will the cost of feed be high? Wu Huan asked. Who told you that native pigs grow up eating grain feed? Zhang Xiangbei said with a smile. Isn't that what everyone says? I used to go to the market to buy vegetables, and the meat seller told me the same thing. Wu Huan said. That's a lie to you, Zhang Xiangbei said. Both native pigs eat the same feed. Native pigs refer to pig breeds. Native pig breeds are all local pigs in China, like Zhejiang. Here, there are Jinhua two-headed black pig, Shengxian spotted pig, Lanzhou black pig, etc. Almost every province has such local pig breeds, and these pigs are all native pigs. This is different from imported pig breeds, such as Duroc, Berkshire, Landrace and other imported pig breeds. In many places, these imported pig breeds are called foreign pigs. This is different from native pigs. These imported pig breeds are the biggest feature of the pig breed is that it grows fast and big. In the same breeding cycle, it will weigh more than 30 kilograms than native pigs, and it has nothing to do with the feed it eats. That's right, then I've really been deceived all the time. Wu Huan said. Are there any pigs that eat grain, the kind of healthier pigs they say? Zhang Xiangbei said, the pigs are all healthy. Pigs with problems are detected during quarantine at the slaughterhouse. They are not allowed to be slaughtered but can only be destroyed. So why can't you buy privately slaughtered pigs? There is no such thing as quarantine for private slaughtering. Link, you may buy diseased pork. What kind of feed pigs eat has nothing to do with whether they are healthy or not, but has something to do with the taste of the pork. The two-headed crows we purchased years ago were all eating pig grass, rice bran, wheat bran, and leftovers. That is, I call them organic pigs that grow in swill. Such pigs grow very slowly and the pork tastes very good. But such pigs are simply not available in the market. We, the workers, decided to let them raise them this way. Otherwise, even the pigs that the farmers eat themselves also eat feed. Where would there be any pigs that eat grain? What's more, pig feed is also made from soybean meal, corn, distillers' grains, rapeseed cake, etc. It is basically grain itself, but it is just the residue after pressing oil to make wine. Wu Huan nodded and asked, "You have been talking about pigs to me for a long time. What do you mean? What does it have to do with what you said?" Yes, many people in cities now demand to eat organic pigs and vegetables. We can encourage farmers in need to use the private land in front of and behind their houses to grow organic vegetables, raise organic pigs and chickens and ducks, and then let people in the city subscribe. For example, 7 or 8 people, or a dozen people join together to subscribe for a pig, their chickens, ducks, and vegetables from their vegetable fields. This is equivalent to directly connecting these farmers in need with urban residents, without any links in between. Even these urban residents spent almost the same amount of money they spend to buy vegetables now to participate in this activity. As I said before, yes, a pig farmer can earn at least 800 yuan more. If the pig is raised organically with pig grass or something, he can earn at least 1000 yuan more. Including the profit from raising pigs, farmers can earn more than 2000 to 3000 yuan from raising a pig. Because this is a charity activity in itself, we can also encourage these citizens to subscribe for products from farmers in need at a price that is 10% higher than the market price. At 10%, there is no pressure on everyone. Do you think so? Wu Huan said there was no pressure, but how to connect them? Use our platform, Zhang Xiangbei said. We ask our branches in various places to identify such farmers in need. Of course, we must first set a standard, which is the standard for farmers in need. These farmers can also apply on our website and we will send someone to verify it. After verification, we can count the area of his vegetable plot and the number of pigs, ducks, chickens, geese, etc. raised at home, and put them online for everyone to subscribe. Of course, many of them are pre-orders, such as pigs. How many of us individuals join together to reserve a pig? The pig will be raised until the spring festival and then killed, and the meat will be divided among us. The same goes for vegetables. For example, this ridge is water spinach. When it is planted, it is reserved by as many people or units as possible, and when it is harvested, it is distributed to them. Other units and platforms cannot do this. Only we can do it. We have tentacles from top to bottom. Those who subscribed on our website are all customers of ours ICN delivery. We have the ability to directly send them the purchased products are sent to the fresh keeping cabinet. Down below, we have branches and purchasing points distributed in various places, and cold chain trucks at slaughterhouses in various places. We collect these things from farmers and ride on our food delivery trucks and cold chain trucks first. It takes time to send these things out and we will deliver them. Whether it is collection or delivery, we provide free services. Of course, we will definitely have losses, but I think this loss is acceptable and within our capabilities. Just treat it as if we have also participated in this activities to contribute to these farmers in need. Only in this way, the city residents who show love don't feel any pressure when they show their love. Anyway, the things are delivered directly to his home. Except for the 10%, they don't need to pay more. We have this ability and the losses can be controlled. As a result, farmers in need can truly get rid of poverty, and only in this way can this matter be done for a long time. Zhang Xiangbei looked at Wu Huan and continued, of course, this is not only unprofitable for our company, but also requires payment. From your standpoint, would you agree? I agree, Wu Huan said. Our family is also from the countryside. I know how hard it is in the countryside. What you said can really help them, and for us, it is indeed within our tolerance. I support it. But what? Zhang Xiangbei asked. Will shareholders have any objections? Wu Huan asked. No, I told them about this at the earliest, and they all agreed, saying that this is the social responsibility that enterprises should fulfill, Zhang Xiangbei said. That's no problem, Wu Huan said. There will still be problems, Zhang Xiangbei said. When we do good things, we cannot think of everything as perfect. On the contrary, we must assume that human nature is inherently evil, and we must assume that we are dealing with a group of evil people. Rather than being a group of good people, we must use certain means and measures to prevent evil, so that we can continue to do this for a long time. What do you mean? Wu Huan asked. Let me ask you, since whether it is pork, chicken, duck, or vegetables, the price subscribed by kind-hearted people is higher than the market price, then what will happen when these farmers buy vegetables cheaply from others and sell them at high prices? He said he had 4 pigs at home, but in fact there were only 2. What should he do if there were 2 more pigs he bought from someone else? In other words, what should I do if he says it's local pork, but it's actually foreign pork? What if he only eats pig grass and rice bran and wheat bran after dinner, but in fact it's all feed? We go to every household to see it. When they kill pigs or cut vegetables, do we send people over to keep an eye on them? Zhang Xiangbei asked Wu Huan. Wu Huan was stunned. Yes, this is indeed a problem. This problem is difficult to handle. Then what do you think we should do? Wu Huan asked. Install cameras, Zhang Xiangbei said. We have installed cameras in their pig pens and vegetable fields so that we can monitor the whole process, including the caring people who subscribed. If he wants to see the pigs he subscribed to, or he can also watch the vegetables online to see how they are growing. In this way, he can gain their trust and attract more caring people. Great. This works, Wu Huan shouted. However, before that, we have to hold an event, Zhang Xiangbei said. What activity? Wu Huan asked. You can't ask these farmers in need to pay for these things themselves. Wouldn't that increase their burden? Zhang Xiangbei said, we mobilized companies and individuals to donate money and materials. We donated all the unwanted second-hand equipment, unused equipment, and obsolete equipment to help them. We also gave these things to farmers in need. You can't say it's given to them, otherwise it won't be enough even if you send it several times a year. You can only say it's lent to them, just like I said. I know, when you do good things, you must assume that human nature is inherently evil, Wu Huan interrupted Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei laughed. Come on, let's give this event a name and publish it on the website, Wu Huan said. How about calling it Love Help? Everyone comes to show love and help farmers in need. Zhang Xiangbei thought for a moment and said. The word love is too strong. It is a little overused now, and it is suspected of moral kidnapping. Let's call it Suishaobang. Whether you are donating money or goods, or subscribing to products from farmers in need, you are doing your best to help people in need. Help them out, it doesn't cost you much. Okay, let's call it Suishuigang, Wu Huan said. I'll write out the event notice and you can take a look. Zhang Xiangbei said yes. Thank you Kong Kong Pan Pan, book friends 201802232200244420, that year A, Zongkai 727, book friends 202004162146453533, book friends 1302211840471110, Lao Shenzasang, Windenwing, Not Impossible World's monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 2040. Zhang Xiangbei and his colleagues have several principles for their Suishao help activity. One of the most important principles is the principle of proximity, that is, the farmers in need must be near their branches or purchasing points, and they must be able to come to their homes. If the area where the goods are received and shipped out is too remote, it is beyond their capabilities. Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan said that if we want this activity to last for a long time, we must be very clear-headed and not do things we cannot do. Such things can be done occasionally but cannot become the norm. We must be very clear that we cannot help all the farmers in need across the country. We can only do our best to help one more household, Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan said. In this regard, we must also have we should not overestimate our own abilities with the attitude of helping as we go. Wu Huan agreed with Zhang Xiangbei's statement. Zhang Xiangbei smiled and said, "It's useless to just agree, we have to persist. After this activity is carried out, our pressure will really come, and society will ask us to do more. Anyway, their demands only require typing on the keyboard. Likewise, there will definitely be more and more people asking us for help. At that time, I might drift away and you have to pull me back." Standing from the perspective of a company, right? Wu Huan asked. Zhang Xiangbei was right, we can't involve Zai Xianshao just because we are doing good deeds. That would really mean killing ourselves and retrieving our own eggs. Wu Huan blushed and said, "I understand, get out." Zhang Xiangbei was stunned for a moment and remembered his last inappropriate sentence. He didn't have that thing, only they had it. Zhang Xiangbei smiled and said, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I will leave immediately." After this activity really started, they realized that there were more farmers in real difficulties in the countryside than they thought. Even in wealthy provinces like Guangdong, Zhejiang, and Jiangsu, there are still many farmers in need. Even in the wealthiest villages, there are always a few households in need of help. The reasons for their poverty vary widely. The highest proportion is due to illness, which means someone in the family has a serious illness, especially one that requires long-term treatment. The illness not only depleted the family's belongings, but also weakened the relationship with relatives and friends, all of which were borrowed money. Another thing is that he likes to gamble. Even if there is still a load of corn and sweet potato shreds left at home, someone will still gamble with the corn and sweet potato shreds. In the end, the basket and the pole will be lost together. Such families are not rare among poor farmers. When farmers encounter difficulties like this, it becomes a headache. They have to cooperate with the village committee and first ask the guy to sign a pledge, promising not to gamble, and promise not to gamble away anything at home, and even specify the piglets and chickens. The property rights of the ducklings and even the vegetables do not belong to their family. They also have the village committee make an announcement in the village, telling everyone that even if someone wins these things, they cannot take them away, because the property rights of these things do not belong to the gambler, and if they win, they will win in vain. This fundamentally destroys this relationship. The guy has no idea of even finding someone willing to bet with him. Such families are often so poor that they don't even have money to buy piglets, chickens, ducks, or rapeseeds. Zhang Xiangbei and the others can only use donations to buy these things and borrow them first. Lend it to them and pay it back after harvest. And poverty is always relative. If these farmers are placed in the western mountainous area, they may not be considered poor households, but locally, they are in need of help from Zhang Xiangbei and others, just like the Baoting village that Zhang Xiangbei went to. Some farmers in Jiao. Through the help of Zhang Xiangbei and others, these farmers can earn tens of thousands more yuan every year, especially some farmers who do not have family members working outside. They now have living money in their hands, and they feel that they can finally get over their lack of money. These days can really drive people to death and madness. A monthly income of 1 to 2,000 yuan from selling vegetables is a small amount of money to some people, but to these families, it is basic income. The principle of proximity also includes, for example, for farmers in need in Guangdong, Zhejiang, and Jiangsu, to help their urban residents, the system will match Shanghai with Nanjing, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Suzhou, etc., so that residents of these nearby cities can. It ensures that the products produced by farmers are still the freshest when delivered to residents' homes. In Ningxia, Anhui, Henan, and Yunnan, their Zaixian delivery has not yet started delivery business, but they have helped many farmers in need in these 4 places. The reason is that they have well-developed networks in these 4 provinces and autonomous regions. In the procurement network, there are vehicles transporting vegetables every day, and there are cold chain vehicles transporting beef, mutton, chilled pork, and poultry. The products of these farmers in need can be transported out by taking advantage of them. For example, the tan sheep in Pingluo, Ningxia, are originally a popular mutton on their platform. They also raise sheep on their farm in Ningxia and transport mutton to several coastal provinces every day. Xiang Evian is there and has launched numerous campaigns. A small number of poor farmers raise tan sheep, and the sheep raised by these farmers are subscribed by residents of Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, and other places. Zhang Xiangbei came up with a word. He said it is called hanging one head, that is, as long as they have the ability to collect at the purchasing end, even though the journey is far away, there is still a way to transport the cattle raised by cattle farmers in Henan, Anhui, and Hainan. Was also jointly subscribed by urban residents who had already launched the fresh home delivery business. There will always be exceptions, that is, there are 2 situations where they cannot rely on both. They have no local purchasing point, and there are no nearby cities that have launched the fresh home delivery business. No. In several impoverished counties in Guizhou and Yunnan, the local governments and poverty alleviation offices learned about their Suishaobang activities online and came to negotiate with Zaixian Shuang, hoping to join their Suishaobang activities. To this end, special organizations have been established to organize farmers in need and rationally arrange production and breeding. The local government is responsible for short-distance dispatch in the county and concentrates all products in the county. Although there is no local purchasing point for their fresh delivery, Zhang Xiangbei still asked their Yunnan branch to send a special vehicle to deliver these products. Shipped out by the carload. The first batch of Suishui help identified more than 48,000 households in need. When Gu Gong heard this number, he said it was amazing. Such a large number of households was almost the total number of households in more than 100 villages. There are even more families in the city who are willing to participate in their handout activities and extend a hand to help these farmers in need. Within a week, more than 700,000 people signed up online, and many people signed up. But there is no help at all, and farmers in need cannot be matched, so they can only wait patiently. Wu Huan and the general managers of their branches said that there are too many enthusiastic citizens now and there are not enough farmers in need. You must speed up contact and screening and launch the second batch as soon as possible. Zhang Xiangbei and others decided to release the second batch. The number of farmers in difficulty is set at 100,000. Their Suishaobang activity has aroused widespread social repercussions. The media and the majority of netizens have given them another term, called Zaixian Shao in action, saying that this is an unprecedented large-scale poverty alleviation operation. Everyone praises them and says they are a conscientious enterprise, so we can rest assured about the food delivered by a conscientious enterprise. Such a violent response from the media and the internet is equivalent to a free public relations activity for Zaixian delivery, which immediately established their Zaixian delivery image. More people and units have become their customers, of course, also have more farmers and local governments contacting them. There are also many local governments in cities that have contacted them, hoping that Zaixian delivery can settle in their cities, and the government will definitely support it. What a humming profit, Zhou Ruyi shouted, the city waiting for us to enter is also queuing up now. The donation campaign they launched online also received enthusiastic support from everyone. For the first time, Ben Muishan Group, Splendid China Group, Chu Tianlin's three-color printing, Lin Shuwen's LinkedIn Education, Han Emperor Lu Bang's Black Forest Food, Lu Ligan's Renjia Travel, Wu Ziyawai and Wei Venfang's Beautiful Express, Lu Yun Pioneer Investment, Xiaofang's Youth Capital, Xiaohua's Fuban Investment, and Qinfang's Real Estate Company all donated money. The number of donations from these units alone has reached more than 28 million. Wu Ziyawai and Zhang Xiangbei said, "Bai Bei, if there are places that are inconvenient for you to go to, you can leave them to us. We can also help with logistics." Yes, MaleExpress is more complex than their home delivery service, and their network is more developed. There are many units and individuals on the internet who have donated money and materials. Some companies that make computers and cameras have specifically contacted them and donated a large amount of materials that have been eliminated by upgrading and have been backlogged in warehouses. These products can no longer be sold in the market, but for Zhang Xiangbei and the others, it is enough. Zhang Xiangbei and others have established a special department within the company. This department also cooperates with the Hangzhou City Charity Federation to take charge of the Suishui help activities and has set up a special account. All money and materials donated by the society will be collected every day. All expenditures are announced in the Suishivang channel of the Zaixian Shui website, and the public can check them at any time. When everything was looking very good, some voices began to appear on the internet, saying that their home delivery was a show, free advertising for themselves, and earning political capital and traffic. Some people even say that since Zaixian delivery is already so profitable and has reached such a large scale, why can't they directly spend money to help these farmers and also mobilize social donations? Yes, there are advertisements for home fresh delivery everywhere. Just donate the advertising money to those farmers, someone said. If you don't donate, don't donate. We pay for them to gain fame and fortune. This calculation is really accurate. Who is Zhang Xiangbei deceiving? Some people even pointed at Zhang Xiangbei's nose and scolded him online. Wu Huan and Zhang Xiangbei said, "It's okay, there will always be this kind of troll. He doesn't do anything, but he is not satisfied with what others do. Justice is in the heart of the people." Now there are constant trolls from citizens every day. Applying to join this event is proof of that. Zhang Xiangbei smiled and said, "I don't care, but you have to be mentally prepared. This may just be the beginning." Thank you book friend 854974, the sky is blue after the rain, and the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to book friends 854974, Shi Yitan, Zonda RR, Huandian Electromechanical, Suyu Enian, Zixi Zi, Humorous Tribe, Sand Dust Mood, Wandering Mayfly, book friends 201802232200244420, book friends 1206221010091159, book friends 201902031030266617, monthly votes from readers 12978738384071100656. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2041. At the same time that Zhang Xiangbei and his Zaixian Shui Import and Export Company were established, their own advertising company, Hangcheng Xianshui Advertising Co., Limited, was also established. Every fresh-keeping cabinet placed in the community will be the carrier for their future advertising. Each group of fresh-keeping cabinets in the community building has an LCD screen in the middle. The screen is divided into 2. Below is a keypad for pressing the password to open the cabinet, and advertisements are scrolling on the top. At the same time, Advertisements can be placed on the door of each fresh keeping cabinet and on the sides of the cabinet. In addition, they will publish a daily fresh delivery illustrated magazine every 10 days, which contains product information and advertisements, as well as various coupons. Many manufacturers like their illustrated magazines very much. Although the format of illustrated magazines is a bit old-fashioned for advertising, there is nothing to be afraid of, as long as it is effective. After all, this is an advertisement that can be accurately placed in the living room of every household. The new product promotion on the homepage of the illustrated magazine has become the page that everyone is vying to be on. As an advertising company, their channel resources are too rich. Home entering advertising is the goal of many advertising companies, but at most they can only stop at elevator advertising, which cannot enter people's homes. However, home delivery can do it. As long as daily fresh delivery is placed in each customer's fresh keeping cabinet, it is equivalent to entering their home. Each issue contains coupons for various products, which can be used directly when shopping on the Zexi and Shui website. No one is willing to throw them away, and no one is willing not to read them. Even some owners don't bother to read them. But the nanny will also collect and read them, and the illustrated magazines will still be in the home. The advertising company's income can not only maintain the normal operation of so many of their fresh keeping cabinets and provide them to customers for free, but also recover the cost of making the fresh keeping cabinets every month. At the same time, the property owners can also get a certain percentage of the share, and finally a part, which will be given back to customers in the form of membership points discounts. It can be said that this is something that benefits many aspects. Zhou Ruyi volunteered to serve as the general manager of their advertising company. Wu Huan and Zhang Xiangbei also felt that she was very suitable. On the first day after Zhou Ruyi took office, she went to Ben Muishan building to find Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen was sitting in the office and saw Zhou Ruyi coming in and asked, "Why are you here? It's so rare." "No," Zhou Ruyi giggled, "I came here specifically to see my uncle." "Oh, you're looking for me? What's the matter?" Zhang Chen asked. Zhou Ruyi said, "Didn't our fresh food advertising company be established?" "Uncle, you don't know yet. You set up an advertising company? What are you doing?" "Zhang Xiangbei never told me," Zhang Chen said. "That's his damn fault. He didn't report such a big thing to his uncle. He really doesn't take you as a father and shareholder seriously," Zhou Ruyi scolded. Zhang Chen laughed and said, "He has never taken me seriously. I'm used to it. Uncle, I am now also the general manager of this advertising company. Today is my first day on the job, so I thought of visiting my uncle first," Zhou Ruyi said. No wonder, Zhang Chen understood. He thought that the purpose of Zhou Ruyi's visit today was probably to let him help them design something. Wasn't he the one who helped design their Zaixian delivery advertisement in Guangdong? Zhang Chen greeted Zhou Ruyi. "Come on, sit down and say, Zhou Ruyi, is there anything I can do to help you?" Yes, Uncle," Zhou Ruyi said, "this advertising company has been established, and I just want to be a lazy rabbit." "Lazy rabbit, what do you mean?" Zhang Chen asked, confused. "It is said that rabbits don't eat the grass around the nest. They are diligent rabbits and lazy rabbits." "Then doesn't it start eating the grass around the nest?" Zhou Ruyi said. Zhang Chen laughed loudly and understood. He asked, "So are you going to start eating from me?" "That's right, Uncle, aren't you working on the project of food and drink? I think we are your best advertising carrier. I very much hope that your food and drink can become the first one of our fresh delivery advertising company." Client. Oh, Zhou Ruyi's words aroused Zhang Chen's interest, and he said, "Before we open food and drink, we do need to advertise. However, you said that you are our best advertising carrier. I am not very sure about this. Understand? Come on, Zhou Ruyi, come and convince me and let me see if there is any possibility for us to cooperate." "That's great, Uncle. Zhou Ruyi shouted, and then she introduced the advertisement on their fresh keeping cabinet and the daily fresh delivery pictorial to Zhang Chen. After the introduction, Zhou Ruyi said, "Uncle, do you want to advertise accurately so that your ads can be displayed in front of your target customers?" Zhang Chen is right, anyone who advertises will have this idea. But other advertising companies can only roughly meet your requirements. For example, they will assume that your potential customers will watch which TV series, and then they will do some product placement in the TV series. They will assume that they will probably watch Vogue and Bazaar and Kaijing magazine, or Cakesun Weekly, just do magazine advertising. Either imagine that they fly a lot and do airport advertising. Also, what kind of website advertising will be used, or some financial people, food and health experts will be invited to make soft advertisements on Weibo. But these are actually useless. As I said before, they are just assumptions. I assume that your potential customers will do this or that. But in fact, assumptions are just assumptions. They are their estimates. In reality, they cannot be accurate. Only our company can truly achieve precise placement and accurately display your food and drink advertisements in front of your potential customers. Tell me, Zhou Ruyi, how did you do it? Zhang Chen became interested and said to Zhou Ruyi. Use our company's own resources and combine it with big data analysis, Zhou Ruyi said. Take Hangzhou as an example. Among all the communities in Hangzhou, we know exactly which ones are high-end communities. Uncle, the potential of your dining men and women are most of the customers in villa areas and high-end residential areas. Zhang Chen thought for a while and felt that their customers were really in villa areas and high-end communities. He was right. We have the ability to achieve full coverage of all villa areas and high-end communities in Hangzhou, and put your food and drink advertisements into the fresh cabinets of all these villa areas and high-end communities. Is this accurate placement? Zhang Chen nodded and felt that Zhou Ruyi's words were good. Their Zician delivery could indeed identify each community and place advertisements in the homes of their potential customers. This is not accurate enough, Zhou Ruyi denied it herself. It's not accurate enough, what else can you do? Zhang Chen asked. Combined with big data, Zhou Ruyi said, many of the houses in these high-end residential areas and villa areas are not lived in at all, or there are only elderly people at home. These will not be your potential customers. We can go further and start from these high-end residential areas. Among the residents in the villa area, we screen out those whose average monthly living expenses are more than 10,000 yuan, or higher or lower, whichever bracket is acceptable. You can also screen out customers who usually purchase high-end tobacco, alcohol, and ingredients. These are the real potential customers of your food and drink men and women. Uncle, are you right? Zhang Chen nodded repeatedly, feeling that what Zhou Ruyi said was right. The homes in this part of the country would really be their potential customers, and only Zician delivery could truly grasp their purchasing information, and only their database could screen out this part of the customers. Also, Uncle, even in those ordinary communities, there are actually some high-end customers. They just haven't moved due to one or other reasons. Like you, if you don't want to live in the peach blossom land, you would rather live in the splendid home. We can filter out those who usually purchase high-end tobacco, alcohol, and ingredients from these ordinary communities, and put your food and drink advertisements into their fresh cabinets. This is what I call the real precision placement, which other advertising companies cannot do. Advertising should be precise but not excessive. If the advertisements cannot be placed accurately and are scattered all over the streets, they will stink on the streets. They are not much different from those psoriasis advertisements. This will cause great damage to the corporate image. Think about the overwhelming advertisements that can be seen beside every trash can on the street. It would be very embarrassing for the company to be discarded there. Zhou Ruyi said. Zhang Chen nodded. Okay, Zhou Ruyi, you have convinced me, you can become our cooperative advertising company for food and drink. Really, uncle? Then I'll go back and try to come up with your advertising plan and quotation as soon as possible, Zhou Ruyi shouted. Zhang Chen agreed, when you come again, we can sign a cooperation agreement. By the way, you are not allowed to kill my pig. Zhou Ruyi giggled, no, I don't dare to offend you. When you get angry, Zhang Xiangbei will kick me away. Zhang Chen laughed loudly. Zhou Ruyi stood up and said goodbye to Zhang Chen. She just turned around and then turned back and asked, is Uncle Zanzi here? Lu Ligan was still here with Zhang Chen just now, discussing the modification plan of the Moganshan project with him. This meeting should be in his own office. Zhang Chen asked Zhou Ruyi. What? Do you want to continue eating him? Zhou Ruyi nodded repeatedly, Uncle, don't you think that the target customer base of Uncle Zanzi's Renjia travel industry actually overlaps with your food and drinking men and women? Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment and said, I haven't thought about this problem, but now that you say it, it's really, okay, you can use the same method of persuading me to resign to convince him. Thank you, Uncle. Zhou Ruyi turned around and walked out. 10 minutes later, Lu Ligan walked into Zhang Chen's office. Zhang Chen looked up at him and said with a smile, here comes the grass. What kind of grass? Lu Ligan was puzzled by what Zhang Chen said and asked. Zhou Ruyi didn't go to your place, Zhang Chen asked. Went. She didn't tell you about the nest grass? No, oh, no, I learned a new word from her, no, Lu Ligan said and laughed. She didn't tell you about advertising cooperation, Zhang Chen asked, feeling a little puzzled. As I said, it's Bai Bei who set up an advertising company. I've even signed a cooperation agreement with them. I'm their advertising company's first client, Lu Ligan said. Have you signed the cooperation agreement? Zhang Chen shouted, how are you planning to place your ads? It doesn't matter how they place it, it can be placed in public toilets, Lu Ligan said. I told Zhou Ruyi to hurry up and sign the agreement. Stop talking nonsense, you set up an advertising company, I will be a friendly sponsor, and I will also hand over the advertising. Here you go, just go and do it, it will be done in a few minutes. As Lu Ligan spoke, he stared at Zhang Chen and asked, why, you still own your son's company? Zhang Chen glared at Lu Ligan and cursed, it's because it's Zhang Xiangbei's company that I have to ask clearly to see if what they do is reliable. Lu Ligan asked, then do you think it is reliable? It's not bad, Zhang Chen said. Idiot, as long as people are reliable, things will be unreliable. You are habitually verbose, too verbose, even more verbose than Tang Santang. I don't know how Bai Bei can stand you, Lu Ligan cursed loudly. Thank you 0HJKLG for the tip. Thank you to Weishir, Guzio Kyokiu, Sinful Orchid Finger, Daos Hung 123, Fei Long Zetian, Hydrogen Oxide Sterilization and Disinfection Knowledge Bureau, Book Friends 201707202014120014, Book Friends 202109012205439221 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.